President Hage Geingob has been an open critique to the concept of a universal basic income grant in Namibia, where he allegedly stated at the recent launch of the second Harambee Prosperity Plan that he sees no reason as to why the government should implement a universal basic income grant within the context of a country with a high income inequality rate such as Namibia. Today on One spoke to Jauch, who is a member of the Basic Income Grant Coalition for Namibia, an organization that has lobbied government for several years to roll out the social grant program in order to address the high levels of poverty and contribute to economic development, to provide a background about the rationale and concept behind the universal basic income grant.
The initial idea of a basic income grant was it is a universal grant. Everyone gets it, starting from birth until you reach the age of 59 or age of 60, when you're entitled to the universal old age pension. So it was meant to cover everybody below 60 in Namibia. And then they talked about a modified basic income grant. So the discussion was, should a basic income grant be given to people who are unemployed, for example? But that's not a basic income grant, that's then an unemployment grant. That's something very different. Then government said they want to introduce a universal child grant so that every child gets a grant from birth till reaching the age of 18. Based on that, then the idea was then maybe the BIG, a basic income grant, kicks in when the child grant ends. In other words, from the age of 18 or 19 then to 59, but covering everybody there. That could have been a case now that Namibia introduces a universal child grant, then a basic income grant for people from 19 to 59, and then we have the old age pension already in place. That would have possibly been a very workable and manageable approach. Not ideal, but at least manageable, and it would have reached virtually everyone in the country.
The head of state during the recent State of the Nation address also announced that the food bank, marginalized grant and the feeding scheme will be consolidated into a modified basic income grant with clear eligibility criteria to determine qualifying beneficiaries. Jauch further argued that government should rather build on the success of the emergency income grant initiated last year as a response to the COVID-19 pandemic as a model to roll out a basic income grant as the once-off payment of $750 Namibia dollars distributed by government last year reached far more people in the country compared to the food bank initiative and other social grants.
And now the president in the SONA said, no, they want to convert the food bank and some other emergency grants and feeding schemes into the basic income grant. Now that is a bit difficult to imagine because it's a small number of people that was reached. The food bank reached just above 40,000. There are far more people in need in Namibia. The emergency income grant last year reached over 700,000, which the Ministry of Finance rolled out. So at least they should build on that and accommodate the proposal of having a basic income grant for those between 19 and 59 if they earn less than the tax bracket of 50,000 a year. That would be the minimum of what would make sense, and we hope that will still come through. However, we heard already that the main driver stopping that is the Ministry of Finance based on costs. They think Namibia doesn't have the money, it's too costly to do that. But one must understand that the basic income grant is not just a social protection measure, it's also an economic stimulus package. As people receive this money, they will spend it on basic consumer goods. So you recreate an economic cycle from below. And I hope that government officials and political leaders will realize that in a declining economy like ours, you need an intervention to turn things around. And the basic income grant could be one of those interventions.
The proposal for a basic income grant in Namibia was made in 2002 by the Namibian Tax Consortium, a government-appointed commission. The consortium made the proposal for a basic income grant in light of the high poverty levels and the unequal distribution of income in Namibia.